Good day, students. Welcome once again to our virtual biology lesson. I trust it's been captivating and interactive. I remain your biology virtual tutor, Mr. Kehinde Adesina, and this video is brought to you courtesy of Ighota Virtual Learning. In our last lesson, we were introduced to the concept of transport system in animals and in plants. In the lesson of today, we will be looking at the circulatory system of animals and the mechanism of transport in plants. Come along with me as we explore. First of all, let's look at the lesson outline of this lesson. In this lesson, we will be looking at the mammalian circulatory system, the structure of the mammalian heart and blood vessels, open and closed circulatory system. We'll also look at mechanism of transport in plants, the processes aiding transport in plants, absorption of water by the roots of plants, and lastly, we will look at the transport of water by the xylem tissues. So come along with me. The circulatory system refers to the system of continuous movement of blood around the body involving the heart and the blood, including the blood vessels. Now, the mammalian circulatory system is composed of a pumping device called the heart, channel of transport called the blood vessels, and the medium of transportation, which is the blood itself. We are going to look at this part one after the other in this lesson. Let's begin by looking at the human heart. The human heart is a muscular and the most powerful organ of the body, which is responsible for the pumping of blood around the body. It will interest you to know that the heart works continuously throughout the lifespan of an individual. The heart is located within the chest or the thoracic cavity, behind the breastbone or the sternum, and in between the two lobes of the lungs. The human heart is divided into four main chambers, and these four chambers are divided into two sides, the right side and the left side. Here is a breakdown of the structure. The right side of the heart. The right side of the heart consists of the right auricle, or what we call right atrium. This is the top right chamber of the heart. It receives deoxygenated blood, that is, blood that is having poor oxygen, or blood that is oxygen poor. Then we have the right ventricle. This is the bottom right chamber of the heart. It pumps the deoxygenated blood from the right auricle to the lungs through the pulmonary artery, where it gets oxygen. The left side of the heart. The left side of the heart also have the top part called left atrium. The left atrium receives oxygenated blood, that is, oxygen-rich blood from the lungs. The left ventricle is the bottom left chamber of the heart. It pumps the oxygenated blood from the left auricle to the rest part of the body through the main vessel of the heart called the aorta. The heart also has valves which prevent backflow of blood and also prevent oxygenated blood from mixing with deoxygenated blood. These valves include the following: tricuspid valve. This is found between the right auricle and the right ventricle. We also have the pulmonary valves, which is found between the right ventricle and the pulmonary artery. Then we have the mitral valves, or what we call the bicuspid valve, which is located between the left auricle and the left ventricle. Then lastly, we have the aortic valves, which is located between the left ventricle and the main vessel of the heart called aorta. In between the left side and the right side of the heart, it's a division called the septum. The septum is a thick wall of muscles which separate the left and the right side of the heart to ensure that oxygen-rich and oxygen-poor blood don't mix together. Now let's take a look at the blood vessels. The blood vessels are tubes or pipes through which blood flows from the heart to the rest parts of the body and back to the heart. The mammalian blood vessels consist of arteries, veins, and capillaries network. The arteries. The arteries are the blood vessels which carries blood away from the heart to the body. Arteries have thick muscular wall with small lumen or canal. The wall are elastic to withstand the high pressure when blood flows through it coming from the heart. Veins are blood vessels which carries blood from the body to the heart. They are less elastic than the arteries and they have a very large lumen or canal. They have valves which prevent backflow of blood between because of reduced pressure. Capillaries, on the other hand, are tiny blood vessels joining the arteries to the veins. They are found in the junction between arteries and veins around tissues and organs of the body. Capillaries have thin walls and are tiny in order to penetrate all parts of the internal organs. The wall of the capillaries makes it easy for diffusion of oxygen, nutrients, and waste products between the cells and the blood. Now let's look at the types of circulatory system found in animals. Circulatory system in animals can be grouped into three major categories. We have the closed and open circulatory system, the single and double circulatory system, and pulmonary and systemic circulatory system. Closed circulatory system. In this type of system, blood are contained in vessels, mainly arteries, veins, and capillaries. Blood are transported in these vessels round the body of the animals. Some vertebrates like annelids and all the vertebrates have a closed circulatory system. In mammals, for example, there is no mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood in the heart. While oxygenated blood is confined to the left part of the heart, deoxygenated blood is confined to the right side of the heart. Open circulatory system. In this type of circulatory system, the blood vessels lead out of the heart but end in blood space called hemocoils within the blood cavities. In this space, the blood comes into direct contact with the cells, after which it returns to the heart. So practically, we can say that in open circulatory system, blood is floating in this open space called hemocoil, and each of the body cells and tissues are in direct contact with the blood. They are practically being bathed by the blood, and exchange of materials happen between the blood and these cells and tissues by simple diffusion. The closed circulatory system is now further divided into single circulation and double circulatory system. In the single circulatory system, the blood only passes through the heart once every time it makes a complete circuit round the body. This system is common in fish, which has only two chambered hearts, that is, one auricle and one ventricle. The double circulatory system is found in mammals and reptiles, which have a completely divided four-chambered heart. So in double circulatory system, the blood passes through the heart twice every time it makes one complete circuit round the body. So the heart pumps the blood twice when it moves round the body. Each time the blood passes through the heart, it goes through a separate pathways. This system again is found in mammals. The double circulatory system gives rise to two other pathways, which include pulmonary circuit or circulation and systemic circuit or circulation. The pulmonary circulation. The pulmonary circulation involves the movement of blood between the heart and the lungs. That is, the movement of blood from the lungs to the heart and back to the lungs. The systemic circulatory system involves the movement of blood between the heart and other parts of the body besides the lungs. That is, it is the movement of blood from the heart to the body and back to the heart. In both pulmonary circuit and systemic circuit, each time the blood passes through the heart pumps the blood. This action of pumping of the blood by the heart is called heartbeat. So the heartbeat is caused by alternate contraction and relaxation of the four muscular chambers of the heart. The heartbeat occurs in two stages, which are the diastole and the systole. The diastole is the first stage of the heartbeat, during which the two auricles contract, creating a high pressure in the blood contained in them. This pressure causes the bicuspid and the tricuspid valves to fold downward into the ventricle, allowing blood to flow from the auricle into the ventricle. Therefore, impure or deoxygenated blood enters the right ventricle from the right auricle, while pure or oxygenated blood enters the left ventricle through the left auricle. When the ventricles are full, the cuspid valves close up their apertures, which is between the upper and the lower chamber of the heart. This happens by means of the blood forcing the cups upward so that they may meet one another at the center of the aperture. The systole is the second stage of the heartbeat, which involves the contraction of the two ventricles. This results in the blood being forced into two trunks of the main arteries and out of the heart. Deoxygenated blood from the right ventricle then passes into the pulmonary arteries, while oxygenated blood passes from the left ventricle into the aorta. While this is happening, blood from the body fills up the auricles again. The first stage of the heartbeat to the next heartbeat then follows after the short relapse of time, and the cycle repeats itself. The first stage of the next heartbeat then follows after the short relapse of time, and the cycle repeats itself again. Mechanism of transport in plants. The medium of transportation in plants is the latex or the cell sap. In aquatic, unicellular, and simple multicellular plants, gases enter and leave the cells by simple diffusion. Water, however, enters the cells by osmosis, while manufactured food and waste are transported by diffusion. The stomata pore in the leaves and the lenticels in the stem are the outlet for transport of gases in flowering plants. However, the xylem and the phloem are the medium for absorption of water and transport of water and manufactured food, respectively, through the root system of plants. Transportation of materials in plants is aided by the following processes: translocation, transpiration, absorption of water and mineral salts, and the transport of water in the xylem tissue. We will look at this one after the other. Translocation. Translocation is the process by which manufactured food are transported from where they are manufactured to tissues where they are needed or stored. Translocation normally begins from the leaves to other parts of the plant. The phloem is the major tissue through which these manufactured food substances are translocated. Substances or materials commonly transported or translocated in plants include sugar, glucose or carbohydrate, oil, resins, proteins or amino acid, alkaloids, and hormones. Transpiration. Transpiration is defined as the removal of excess water from plants into the atmosphere in form of water vapor. Plants are capable of losing excess water through three outlets. Number one, the stomata in the leaves, and this process is called stomata transpiration. Number two is through the lenticels in the stem, and this process is called lenticellular transpiration. Lastly, through the corticals of the leaves, and this is called corticular transpiration. During transpiration, in the day, the guard cell of the stomata become turgid by influx of cell sap into the cell. As the guard cell becomes turgid, the stomata pore opens to allow for water to be lost through the pore. However, at night, the guard cell loses their turgidity, which results into the closing of the stomata pore and prevents water from being lost from the leaves of plants at night. Absorption of water by the roots. The root of plant is very suited both anatomically and physiologically to absorb water and mineral salt from the soil. Morphologically, the root system consists of the main roots, the lateral roots or the secondary roots, and the root hairs or tertiary roots. Anatomically, the root consists of root cap, meristematic zone, elongation zone, and the maturation zone. The root hairs have large surface area to absorb a large quantity of water required by the plant. They are unicellular and produced in thick clusters. The root hairs are very tiny, allowing water molecules and mineral salt to pass through them easily by means of osmosis. The water then passes through the thin layer of cytoplasm or cell membrane into the vacuoles of the root hairs. The extra water raises the turgor pressure of the vacuole or reduces the osmotic pressure and forces water into the cell wall towards the cortex. In this way, water is being absorbed and gets to the xylem vessel. Lastly, let's look at the transport of water in the xylem tissue. Transport of water in xylem tissue is due to the following process. 1. Root pressure and suction pressure. Root pressure is usually created as a result of differences in osmotic pressure between the cell sap and the concentration of the soil nutrients. The cell sap, being more concentrated, tend to draw up the nutrients. On the other hand, suction pressure is the total force by which the cell absorbs water from the surroundings. The suction pressure is usually created when water is lost in form of transpiration through the stomata of the leaves. By this pressure, the movement of the water from the soil to the xylem tissue through the root hairs is achieved. Number 2, capillary action. The upward movement of water through the xylem is mainly achieved through capillary action. The xylem vessels that extend from the roots to the leaves form very fine capillary tubes. Water then rises up from the tube as a result of capillary action. Capillary action is due to the attraction between the water molecules and the wall of the xylem vessel. Lastly is the transpiration pool. The continuous movement of water from the roots to the leaves form the transpiration stream. As water evaporates from the leaf cells, as photosynthesis produces more sugar, the osmotic pressure in the leaf cell increases with respect to the xylem cells. This causes more water to flow into the leaf cells from the xylem vessels. So, there is a pull on the water column in the xylem vessel and water is run up in the plant. By this, transport of water is achieved in xylem tissue. Let's look at a summary of this lesson. In this lesson, we have learnt the following. The circulatory system refers to the continuous movement or flow of blood around the body. The human circulatory system consists of the heart, the blood, and the blood vessels. The heart in human is a muscular organ which helps to pump the blood and send it to the rest part of the body. In human, the heart is four-chambered. The types of circulatory system in vertebrates include open circulatory and closed circulatory system. Open circulation is found in insects, arthropods, and mollusks where there are no blood vessels but blood is pumped by the heart and sent to an empty space called hemocoils. Closed circulatory system is a kind of system in which blood is contained and being transported by blood vessels. Annelids and all vertebrates possess this type of circulatory system. The closed circulatory system could also be single circulation where the blood passes through the heart only once when it makes a complete circuit, and it is common in fishes which have only two-chambered hearts, that is, one auricle and one ventricle. The types of blood vessels include arteries, which carries blood away from the heart, veins, which takes blood to the heart, and capillaries, which help in the exchange of materials between the blood and the different cells and tissues of the body. The human and other mammals' circulatory system is made up of double circulatory system, including pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. The medium of transportation in plants is the cell sap or latex, and in unicellular or simple multicellular organism, transport takes place via simple diffusion. Transport of gases takes place in the stomata pore in the leaves and also the lenticels of the stem, while water and mineral salts, including manufactured food, are being transported in the xylem and the phloem tissues respectively. And lastly, transportation in plants is being aided by the following processes: translocation, transpiration, absorption of water and mineral salts, and the transport of water in the xylem tissues. Alright students, let's find out how much we have learned from this lesson by answering our WAEC past questions. The first two questions we'll look at is question 11 and 12 from WAEC 1998. Question 11. Which of the following statements about circulation of blood is not correct? Which of the following statements about circulation of blood is not correct? A. The oxygenated blood flows into the heart through the vena cava. B. Blood is pumped out of the heart through the aorta. C. Oxygenated blood from the lungs is carried to the left auricle. And D. ventricle contracts to pump blood into the aorta. D. The oxygenated blood enters the lungs through the pulmonary vein. Look at the options critically and select your answer. The correct answer is option A. The oxygenated blood flows into the heart through the vena cava. Now question 12. A difference between the auricle and the ventricle of the mammalian heart is that the A. Ventricles carries the oxygenated blood. B. Ventricles do not have outlets. C. Auricles have no valves. And D. Walls of the ventricles are more muscular than that of the auricles. Look at the options and pick your answer. The correct option is option E, because walls of the ventricles are more muscular than that of the auricles. This is as a result of the high pressure with which the ventricles pumps the blood. The next two questions is taken from June 1999, and it's question 4 and question 6. Question 4. The root hairs absorb the water from the soil by A. Diffusion, B. Osmosis. The correct option is option B. Osmosis. And D. Translocation. Water gets into the root hairs of plants. Pick your answer from by the passing options. Through the membrane in a process called osmosis. Question 6. The vessels that carries blood from the heart to the lungs is called an artery because it A. Contain oxygenated blood. B. Contains more blood than the other vessels. C. Carries blood away from the heart. And D. Has thick inelastic wall. Look at the options critically and pick your answer. The correct option is option C. All arteries carries blood away from the heart. Option A is wrong because not all arteries contain oxygenated blood. Pulmonary arteries actually contain deoxygenated blood. The last question we'll look at is question 15 from 2003, and it says, transpiration in plants results in A. Closure of the stomata at night. B. Continuous streaming of water through the plant. C. Pale green coloration of portions of the leaves. And D. Opening of stomata. What do you think is the answer? The correct option is option D. Opening of the stomata. Transpiration takes place during the day and says the guard cell of the stomata become turgid, making the stomata to open to allow for water vapor to escape through the opening. So the correct option is option D. That's all we have for you in this lesson. Continue to read your book and practice your WAEC questions so as to achieve optimum success in your exam. Till I come your way next time, don't stop reading because readers are